Hey there, friends, it's Laurie. I'm so happy you stopped by because today I'm sharing 3 new DIYs. I made a pretty lamb's ear with lavender wreath, a Hello Spring Floral Box, and a less expensive version of my Frazzled Bunny. In case you haven't seen my first one, I'll have that video linked below. I use Dollar Tree and Temu supplies to help keep the cost down, and as always, I hope you have fun crafting with me, so let's get busy. I'm recycling a 12-inch grapevine wreath that I found at a church fair. It looks handmade, but it was only $1 and I couldn't pass up that great deal. For this wreath, all of the greenery and flowers came from Temu. I'm using 34 pieces of lamb's ear. They come in sets of 20 and I paid $11.97. Their prices are always subject to change and I'm just fluffing out the lamb's ear. The leaves are attached to wires and they're too long for this wreath, so I'm cutting all of them about halfway. I have them all cut and ready. This part is super easy. I'm adding hot glue to the end of each stem and tucking them in between the grapevine. As I'm working my way around, I'm doing my best to fill in any of the open spaces and keeping the lamb's ear heading all in the same direction. This is one of the easiest wreaths to make, and you can always add on a bow or even a ribbon hanger. As I was making it, my youngest daughter stopped by and said, "Ooh, this is my style of wreath, so when it's done, it will be heading off to her house." All the lamb's ear is in place, and now I'm adding on 12 eucalyptus with starry sky flowers. You can find these at Temu, 12 for $3.96. Like the others, I'm snipping the wires off at the halfway mark. I'm adding hot glue to 8 stems and spacing them in the center evenly around the wreath. As I was adding them, I made sure to keep them all heading in the same direction, and I tried to keep the flowers on the top. After adding the 8, I have 4 of the eucalyptus stems left over. These I'm evenly spacing and attaching around the center of my wreath. I want to add a little pop of color into my wreath, and I'm using 1 stem of monkey grass with lavender. I bought 6 stems of them from Temu for $6.18, but I'm only using 1 in this wreath. I snipped all 6 flowers with their greenery away from the main stem. I didn't have to cut these stems down because they were shorter than the others, and I added some hot glue on the end of each and then evenly spaced these around the center of my wreath. I only used 3 different types of greenery with the lavender, and this was so easy and inexpensive to make. All the colors, they complement each other, and I think this is so pretty you could hang it up throughout the year. If you're new to my channel, please consider clicking on that little red subscribe button below and leaving me a thumbs up. To all my returning friends, you know I think you're the best, and I can't wait to chat with everyone down below in the comments. Getting started, I'm using one of the decorative wooden boxes from the Dollar Tree. Mine measures 5.5 by 3 inches. I'm adding on some feet, and I'm using 4 large wooden beads. I'm attaching them to the bottom of the box using some E6000. I added some to each corner, then attached all 4 of the beads. I gave the glue time to set up, and now I'm painting it with my sage green acrylic paint. You don't have to paint the inside because that will all be hidden, but I did use it to clean off what was left on my paintbrush. I let it dry completely, and I want to make mine look a bit weathered, like it's been outside, so I'm using an old piece of sandpaper and I'm just sanding around the edges. I'm adding the words Hello Spring to the front of the box, and I'm using some of the wood letter tiles from Hobby Lobby. I'm first finding the placement for the word hello, and then using my E6000 to attach them. I found the placement for the word spring, and then I glued those on as well. For the back of my flower box, I'm using a wooden picket fence from the Dollar Tree. I won't need the hanger, so I removed it from the back. I then gave it a coat of white acrylic paint. Just like the wooden box, I wanted to look a little bit weathered, so I used my sandpaper and sanded around the edges. I'm attaching the 2 pieces together, first by adding some E6000 on the bottom of the fence pickets. I placed them inside the box and had the bottom support resting on the outside edge. I let the glue set up, and now I'm going to be adding in a piece of Sahara foam. I'm recycling a piece that I already had on hand, but you can find this at the Dollar Tree. I measured it against the box, and then I cut it to size. To attach it, I added some hot glue into the bottom of the box and then placed it inside. For my spring flowers, I'm using some different colors and sizes, and these all came from the Dollar Tree. I'm also adding in some small blue flowers that I had on hand, along with some sprigs of greenery. I made sure the flower stems were short enough to fit into the box, and then I started adding them. I didn't have any set plan, I just started sticking them in here and there. If you don't want to add in an assortment of colors, you can always add in 1 or 2 along with some greenery. With all my flowers in place, I want to hide any of the Sahara foam that's showing through, so I'm using some of the reindeer moss from the Dollar Tree. I don't need much, and I'm tucking it in between the flowers. Now that I'm done, this sweet Hello Spring Floral Box is complete, and I think it would brighten up any room. To make Carrots the Bunny, you'll need 3 of the Dollar Tree microfiber fan dusters, but I'm starting off with 2 of them. I'm removing the tags and cutting 2 wires free from each handle. They're bent because they're supposed to wrap around a fan blade, and I'm straightening each of them out. It's important before you attach them that the ends match up perfectly. You can make your bunny any size. I'm measuring up 8 inches from the bottom wire. To attach the bunny together, you'll need 2 pieces of floral wire, and mine are 18 inches long. I attached the 2 pieces together at the 8-inch mark, wrapping my wire around, back and forth so that it was tightly band together. When I was done, I cut the excess wire off with my clippers and pressed the 2 ends down so they disappeared. I then used my second wire and wrapped the 2 pieces together about 1 inch up from the bottom. I finished up again by snipping off the extra wire and then pressing down and hiding the 2 ends. Now that I have them attached, I'm pulling apart the 2 top pieces, and this will make the bunny's ears. To give it a bit more stability, I pulled the fur away so you could see where the 2 pieces meet up, and I added a line of hot glue in between them. I then squeezed the 2 pieces together. To help define the bunny's ears, I used my scissors and I trimmed them up a bit. I'm making a bow for my bunny, and I'm using this cute carrot ribbon. It's 2.5 inches wired, and it comes from the Dollar Tree. I made the 2 loops 3 inches long and then made a simple bow. I then cut the 2 tails off at an angle. I'm attaching the bow to the side of the bunny's ear, and I'm doing this first because it will help me determine where the placement is for her face. I added a dot of hot glue and then gave it a few seconds to set up. For her eyes, I'm using 2 black beads from this piece of Dollar Tree decor. I found their placement on her face and then used my glue gun to attach them. To make the bunny's whiskers, I'm using an 18-inch and a 9-inch piece of floral wire. I started with the 18-inch piece first, and I just wrapped it around a pencil. My floral wire is green, and I'm leaving it that color because it will work in with the bunny holding the carrot. I finished up with the 9-inch wire. I cut the 18-inch piece of wire into 2 pieces, and now I have 3 whiskers. I placed down all 3 about a 1/2 inch under the bunny's eyes. For the bunny's nose, I'm using a 1-inch wooden knob. I already had this on hand, or you can use a large bead, pretty much anything at all, and I'm painting mine with some coral acrylic paint. I added a generous amount of hot glue in the center of the whiskers and placed down the nose. I'm making my bunny arms, and I'm using some thin white ribbon that I had on hand, and all I did was cut 2 short pieces. I gathered a small amount of the fur in the front on one side and then tied it off with the ribbon. I then made another hand across from the first and tied that off with the ribbon as well. I named the bunny Carrots because she's going to be holding one of these little carrots from the Dollar Tree. I added some hot glue in between her 2 arms and attached the carrot at an angle. I then added some hot glue onto the carrot and wrapped the 2 paws around it. I'm adding some color onto the bunny's cheeks and ears using some blush on the end of a brush. To me, the color really brings the bunny to life. To help my bunny stand, I'm using a piece of scrap wood that I found in my kindling bin. It measures approximately 6 inches in length and 3 inches in width. If you don't have anything like this on hand, you can always make a wooden block using the Dollar Tree tumbling tower blocks. I'm giving mine a coat of white acrylic paint. Now that the paint has dried, I'm adding some hot glue onto one side. I centered the bunny onto the block, leaving about 1/4 of an inch overhang on the bottom. For the bunny's feet, I'm recycling a white wooden heart that I already had on hand. I need it to sit flush against the wooden block, so I filed off the pointed end. I added on some hot glue and attached the heart to the block and the bunny. I'm using the 3rd microfiber duster and I'm bending it in half. To attach it, I'm adding some hot glue to the top and the 2 sides of the wooden block. I then added some to the flat side that was showing and covered it with the fur. To finish up, I'm giving my bunny a tail and I'm using one of these leftover snowballs from the Dollar Tree. I added some hot glue and attached the tail. And with that, Carrots the bunny is ready for spring. There's always an ending, and here we are at the end of the video. I really hope you had fun making these DIYs with me. If you're new to my channel and you're thinking, hey, I'd like to come back and hang out with her again, don't forget to click that little red subscribe button below. If you love crafting, I'll leave some ideas for you at the end of this video as well as in my description. I hope you all have a safe and an amazing day. And until next time, bye everybody!